Logan Saether. I'm a smart contract engineer at Chronologic. We've been working on the Ethereum alarm clock project, and we're right now transitioning into a version 2 of that called the Chronos protocol.
Okay, and how did you kind of first get involved in Ethereum, or what was your kind of first exposure to the blockchain or to Ethereum?
Yeah, so I was exposed to Bitcoin first. I was kind of just like exploring like the deep web and like kind of stuff like that. Like ended up finding Bitcoin.
So when was this? Was this?
This was I think probably 2013. So not super early, but like still like Bitcoin wasn't really used, and so it was just that for me for a while until I discovered Ethereum. I landed on the landing page. I think I heard people talking about it on Facebook or something. I like landed on the landing page and was like, a world computer, like what is this? Just kept doing research into it and was like, whoa, this is really cool. I need to learn as much as I can about it. So I picked up Solidity and got into it like that.
That's really cool. And I mean, was it particularly kind of Ethereum rather than Bitcoin that attracted you, or was there, how
Yeah, so it was definitely, so I thought Bitcoin was cool, but I didn't really get the full, I guess, weight behind it, the full like kind of like almost like disruption behind what it could be until like Ethereum comes around, and now you have like not only currency but also applications that you can build, like programmable money and all that. So
I think it's really, I think there's like with like smart contracts just kind of gives you this like explosion of use cases for the blockchain, right? It's not just transferring value, but suddenly you can have all this other kind of cool stuff and kind of algorithms running on the blockchain, which for me was definitely one of the things that kind of drew me into the blockchain. So Chronologic, is there kind of one key thing you'd like to tell the viewers about the project?
Sure, yeah. So the one thing I really want to get across about what we're doing at Chronologic with the alarm clock and now with the Chronos protocol is that we're building tools for developers we're building foundational tools for developers to use and to build on and to build with. So it's a protocol that we want people to start adopting and to use.
So that's really interesting. So I guess then one of the key things is how you engage the developer community at Chronologic. Is that something you're kind of working on, or how are you kind of going about that process?
Yeah, so just recently we started most of our social channels. They're pretty new. We have the Twitter at Chronologic ETH. We have a Telegram room. And we're definitely trying to engage the community as much as possible.
Yeah, very cool. So the kind of business of Polymath is helping institutions and organizations issue regulatory compliant tokens, or what we call security tokens, on the blockchain. So that kind of contrasts from more kind of utility tokens we've sort of seen being issued over the last 18 months to tokens that that are closer to securities and have KYC and identity and transfer restrictions. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not sure if it's an area you sort of thought about, but do you see the kind of, I mean, when you look forward over the next 1 to 2 years, how do you see the kind of utility versus security token kind of space playing out?
So I think actually security tokens in that way are really useful because you're now trying to engage like regulation on like the same playing field. So right now there's a huge like kind of like gray area between like ICOs, are they regulated, like where they fall. And I think doing it in this way where you're saying like it is a security token and you're you're setting up a framework to enable that, I think is actually going to be like really important.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think exactly as you say. I think also as regulators are obviously starting to look at the space in more detail, and some of the kind of activity we've seen in ICOs over the last 1 or 2 years is probably not going to be too viable kind of going forward.
Yeah, it's definitely not sustainable. So we need to start finding ways to like work with regulators eventually.
Exactly, yeah. So in terms of kind of Chronologic, so you guys work a lot on kind of scheduling transactions and that type of thing. Do you think there are areas where that type of functionality can help with tokens in general, or how that kind of functionality interacts with tokens, and obviously particularly for us, security tokens?
Yeah, so the alarm clock is, it doesn't care about what kind of action it does, what kind of function it initiates. So any kind of transfer function it can work with. With security tokens, maybe just the same functionalities as it would do with any tokens. I'm not sure if there's any kind of time-based functions to them. But if there is, that's where the alarm clock really shines.
Right.
So if anything where like a user wants to do something now and then also do something later, and they know that in front of time that they want to do that, they can just initiate those transactions at the same time.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a few use cases where we know where things happen on a kind of regular basis, and there's a paying out of dividends, which would happen say every month or every quarter, voting, governance, which tends to happen at kind of fixed times. Those are definitely two areas off the top of my head where the ability to schedule those transactions. And I guess one other area that we're sort of interested in is whether we can kind of change rather than having investors always initiate their transactions, whether it's possible for them to kind of sign their transactions and maybe for the issuer to initiate it at some later date.
Yeah, like kind of almost like delegation stuff.
Yeah.
That would be pretty interesting as well.
Yeah. So in terms of the kind of Ethereum, which I guess is the main blockchain you're working with, are there any particular changes or kind of developments that you're excited about which are kind of coming down the line?
Yeah, for sure. So the big thing is scalability right now, and I am too definitely interested in scalability. So I'm a huge fan of Plasma work being done.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of like Plasma Cash and state channels as well, which we've looked into briefly. Mm-hmm. And I think second layer applications like that are going to be like the new area of focus.
Cool. So are you looking at using state channels in the alarm clock or in sort of different use cases at Chronologic?
So actually with the alarm clock, what we think will be the use of the alarm clock with state channels and Plasma is they have these time-related functionalities with exits.
Right.
So we're still trying to figure out how exactly to make the alarm clock work with these in the best way possible. But right now, one thing I'm definitely interested in is from like a ground up in the Chronos protocol, making the time-based scheduling native to these Plasma or state channel implementations.
Very cool. And how can the viewers find out more about your project?
Sure. Yeah. So we have a Twitter, Chronologic ETH. We have a Telegram room. You can find our website at chronologic.network. And you'll be able to find the links from there.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, and it's great to meet you.
Yeah, you as well.
Thank you.